About a year ago, I wrote a blog post talking about note taking in the 21st century that was inspired by a tweet I saw that talked about how great it was that their students use a Google Doc to collaboratively work on notes in their class, which I think is a great thing because one of the big four C's we want in students is collaboration. And it got me thinking a little bit that we haven't really modernized note taking in the classroom. Although we do have these digital tools, a lot of students still take notes with pencil and paper. And I have seen a couple of studies that came out over the summer because they were shared with me on Facebook, but they said that digital tools didn't help with note taking and learning. And I had a problem with these studies because one, they took place in college lecture halls and they just compared students who had a computer and students who didn't have a computer. And they looked at the short-term learning of those students. And the one thing they didn't take into account is whether or not they could teach the students how to use those devices, because even though the kid had a laptop or something in the classroom, no one ever taught them how to use it effectively to take notes. And so that's what I want to do real quick is three quick tips on how to take notes digitally on a computer. First, number one is to actually teach students how to do this. You want your students to do better, you gotta teach them how to do this. Show them examples, model it for them, but find ways to help your students better learn how to take notes digitally. So number two, to do this is we're just going to use the tool that I love more than anything, which is a Google Doc and Google Keep. This combination can be very powerful in the classroom. Now, my favorite way to take notes for myself is actually use my iPad Pro and my Apple Pencil to use the Notability app to take pictures of things and then write my notes next to it. Now, you do this all the time when I'm at conferences or professional development or anywhere while I'm trying to learn. That's my go-to tool to take notes digitally. But that's an expensive combination there, not one that most of our students have. But most of our students have access to a Chromebook or similar device, and they can easily make use of both Google Docs and Google Keep. Now, Google Docs are great because I can quickly use the Explore tool. Again, I go to Tools, and then I can see Explore, and I can use that to search the internet. I can find information and stuff like that, which is very useful. But Google Keep becomes a very useful tool. Again, I go to Tools, and I go to Keep Notepad because it'll bring up everything in my Google Keep. Now, Google Keep, you haven't used that before. It's a great tool. Check it out. But it's kind of like a Notepad app for Google, and it's something that's part of my everyday life because it's part of my work life, part of my personal life. I use it to keep down the most important information. I take to-do lists every day. I write down that information there that I need access to later that I can easily share because you usually share notes and Keep just like everything else in Google. But I can actually use my phone, which is the device I have with me at all times, to actually take pictures of things like here. You can see I took a picture of a book, or I could take in pictures of something written on the whiteboard. And so a student in the classroom where they are not able to maybe write down everything, or they really want to focus on what's being said and they want to process it, which is a good thing because we really only learn when we're processing something cognitively, they can easily take their phone to take a picture of the notes on the board or notes in a notebook and use Google Keep to just quickly drag and drop this into a Google Doc. And now they can type all their notes right next to it. That makes it much easier for the student to get that information down. They can focus on the main points and ideas. That's great. Now, another thing you could do, and this is tip number 3, is to give them the notes ahead of time. So if you give them a lot of information ahead of time, whether it's a PDF or some other form, they can even use something like Kami, which is a Chrome extension, which they can use to annotate a PDF. It can even be a digital document of some sort, but they can easily do this with that PDF and focus on, again, the main ideas, the questions they have, the stuff that actually helps them learn, not just the writing down of everything. But even if you give them a paper copy of something, something printed ahead of time, they can use Google Keep. So I'm going back to that real quick. And you can see here is that I had this picture, and you can see I actually was able to take down all the text from the picture. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to delete that for a second. Go down there. And actually, one of the really cool things, if I go to the 3 dots here, is I can click grab image text, and then it's going to use the OCR tool in there to pull out the text they can figure out. Now, it's not going to be 100% perfect, but I'll bet it'll be good enough for your students. And now they can take that information, copy and paste it into something like, say, a Google Doc. Another one little feature I'll put in here, which doesn't show up on mine a whole lot, if I go to a new Keep note, and I'm blurring out the stuff below this, but I can actually click that new note with a drawing. I can click that, and especially if I have a touchscreen Chromebook, I can actually write things out like this. Now, I'm just using my trackpad for this, but now I can actually write my notes out using Google Keep. Once I click I'm done, it saves it there, and I can drag that into a Google Doc, Google Slide, anything I want with that. I can even share with other people. So those are some easy ways we can help our students better take digital notes. Just big thing is we got to teach them how to do it, teach them how to use the tools that they have available to them. And even if they have to use a tool like this, that's great, because the big thing is that, we have students who can't write everything down. They can't maybe see the board as easily. They can't read it as easily. They're going to need more time. We need to give them the tools so they can make the learning more accessible to them. And digital note-taking can do it a lot better than paper and pen. So if you have any ways that you help your students take notes digitally, drop a comment underneath this video, share it out with other people. I'll probably even tweet it if I see some great ones. So otherwise, teach your students how to take notes digitally, and you're going to help them out being lifelong learners in this digital age.